Although I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas, this podcast is not therapy and should not be used as therapeutic intervention. Many of the products and practices mentioned are for educational and informational purposes only. Should you need support, please seek appropriate, qualified, and licensed professionals. Hey y'all, welcome to Between a Hot Mess and a Therapist, the podcast where we navigate the murky waters between what society expects and what it means to truly live, embrace the messiness, the beautiful chaos of life, and celebrating the rebellion in the process. Whether you're a recent graduate, a seasoned therapist, or someone simply curious, there's something here for everyone. But before we dive in, make sure you join the Hot Mess Rebellion community where you can connect to other like-minded souls. I'm your host, Shauna Lovin, a seasoned therapist and wellness educator with a very rebellious spirit. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's rebellion. Welcome back to another episode of Between a Hot Mess and a Therapist. I just want to say we are continuing on this trend of hormones and mental health. So for my fellas out there, this does not necessarily pertain to you, but if you are going to continue to listen, thank you. And maybe you'll learn something for the lady in your life. Okay. So with me being a therapist and in the mental health field for 24 years, as well as becoming a wellness educator over time, and then kind of dealing with my own kind of medical stuff, like fibroids in particular, I've just come to this place where there's a lot of things that I just kind of stopped doing and I noticed them. And I realized that these were the things that probably helped me the most, just kind of maintain my own mental health, my own burnout, my own stress levels, and whatever else came my way. It was just, I think, what helped me the most. And so knowing that our cycle is our fifth vital sign, it is something that I started listening to when all this stuff started happening, and how I got into herbs and how I got into all the things when it comes to that. And these 6 things in particular, like I said, help the most. So the first one on the list is I decided to break free from the box and listening to the doctors. I know you're probably like, but they went to school for a lot and they know all these things. And I'm like, yeah, some of them do. But have you ever really felt like your doctor doesn't really listen to you or they're not hearing you? That's because you're not alone. I'll just say that. But the other piece is doctors often stick to what's in the textbook for whatever solution or whatever for the solution to whatever problem you may have. Between that and just kind of giving you medication, but we'll get to that one in a second. But they stick to the solutions that are in the textbooks. They miss out on any real issues that are happening or even innovative approaches. They're good for emergencies and general health, but they fall short on preventative measures versus kind of reactive measures. And they are not specifically trained when it comes to anything reproductive. So your cycle, perimenopause, postmenopause, or menopause, fibroids, PCOS, endo, or PMDD, they are just not. And so when you see the changes in your body and you notice the changes in your body, you need to become your own advocate and truly listen to yourself because you know what you need. And sometimes it may take a little trial and error to figure out what that is, but you kind of know what you need. This reminds me of the time that I went to see my OBGYN. I love my OBGYN. If you guys didn't know, she's the greatest. But I went to go see her because, your annual checkup, make sure everything is good. And with me having fibroids, I have to make sure that I go every year and get checked because that's one thing that I have to do. And I was telling her, she knows I'm a therapist. She knows I help women. She knows I help therapists. Like, she knows what I do. And I was telling her that, I've been recently bashing like OBGYNs and doctors on social media. And her reply was like classic, because I love how she has over the years has always let me be outside of the box. She's never forced anything on me. She's always kind of let me kind of figure out my own path within reason. And she's kind of definitely left decisions up to me. But her response to me is that the doctors aren't really talking about the real issues anyway. And so why not? Somebody has to talk about the issues. And she even said, like, yeah, they just stick to what's in the book and they don't think outside of the box. And I think that's what her being outside of the box, or her willing to listen to her patients, is what made her a successful OBGYN. Because let me tell you, honey, it's like 6 months out before you can get in and see that woman. But I just decided that over time that I'm just not going to listen to doctors, just because a lot of them don't know what they're talking about anyway. And I've probably figured out how to manage anyway without needing to even go to the doctor. So I'm not saying that they're not useful. I'm not saying that. But just be mindful. The second thing that I decided that I was going to manage better or not do was managing toxins. Okay. So toxins are everywhere. They are basically our fake hormones, our xenoestrogens. They are in all of our products, our food. They're everywhere. Like, they're just everywhere. And so when you need to take medication, or the foods you eat, like, everything has toxins in it. The only way to truly eliminate all the toxins is living off the grid. Now, I know that lifestyle is not for everyone. I currently do not live off the grid. However, I have figured out ways to manage that. Knowing the products that you use. Not all things organic or green are healthy for you either. So it's like knowing the companies that you're buying from and the products that you're using, because when you take less toxins in your body on a daily, you're just reducing your daily load, which overall has impact to your health and well-being and your mental health on top of that. So no toxins over here, not happening. So the third thing that I decided that I was needing to do or wanted to do was basically making sure that I managed my stress well. Now, my mom, I'm a wife of a law enforcement officer, so that has its own stress. And just, we have a house, we got dogs, we got all the things going on over here. And so I just felt like if I learned to manage my stress, because naturally we're supposed to go up and down with our stress anyway when we have stressful events. But when we're elevated too much in a high state and our body is continuously dumping cortisol in our system, it's really hard to kind of come back down from that kind of emotional high. And so our bodies are designed to do that, but if we're not managing it, the fatigue, the anxiety, the depression, poor decision making, our frontal lobe just like shuts down. That's why we get tired. And it's hard to have good decision making and not feel guilty and not feel shameful and all these things when we're not managing our stress well with the cortisol levels that we have. Again, we have our ups, we have our downs, and that's what we have to focus on, is making sure we come back down. The one way that I do that the most is I like to walk. So if I live in Texas, you got to walk first thing in the morning before it starts getting too hot. And you got to walk maybe when the sun is trying to go down and go to bed. Outside of that, you're crazy if you go outside and walk in the middle of the day. It is just too freaking hot. I'm just saying. Just saying. Excuse me. So the fourth thing that I decided that I wasn't going to do was really embrace the natural rhythms of my body. So this comes from cycle shaming. A lot of people or other people, not necessarily you, but there are people who cycle shame, make you feel bad that you are a woman and you have a cycle. Well, we do know that our cycle is our fifth vital sign and it tells us how we're doing health wise. But many of us grew up with negative views of what our cycle was, leading to shame, leading to anxiety, leading to like body issues, like all of that. Some of that comes from a lack of education, lack of experience, but overall, our cycle is a beautiful thing. And it has its ebbs and flows, but essentially it's a beautiful thing. And think about like your womb space is the source of creation. It's life, it's health, it's business, it's desire, it's all of it. And sometimes when we are out of alignment with ourselves, with our cycle, it gives us trouble with not only manifesting our dreams and improving our health, but this is how we can sometimes get fibroids, PCOS, infertility, PMDD, because there's that piece there. Now, I'm not saying that that's all or the only reason, but sometimes the lack of alignment that we have with ourselves and our natural rhythm, it contributes to these issues. So, I'm just saying, get kind of cozy with yourself. The fifth thing that I decided that I was not going to do. So don't come at me for this one. Ooh, please don't come at me for this one. But yes, I've been a therapist. I've been in the field, mental health field for 24 years. Yes, I'm a wellness educator. But I am not taking psych medication. I'm just not doing it. I have seen firsthand the problems or drawbacks that come with psych medication. Yes, you think you're helping your anxiety or depression or whatever, and it may very well be. But what tends to happen is you take one pill, but then you have to take another one to counteract the side effects of the first one that you had. And I don't know if I'm just really down with that. Hell, I don't like taking pills anyway, and I'm barely taking Tylenol. So I'm not sure that I would want to take psych meds every day. I'm just not sure. But I also consider that as we age and we approach menopause and there's things going on with our hormones, like most of the time, doctors, the first thing they'll say for women is, here, take this medication and things will get better. But that's not necessarily true. I mean, it's kind of like when you think about back in the day when there was hysteria, these women they thought were freaking crazy and they would put them in institutions. We're just freaking going through menopause. Like, can we just like ride the wave and like, work with what we got? I would and this is again how I got into herbs, is really consider working with supplements or herbs because they have way less side effects. They kind of reduce your toxin load and they're just a good all around natural alternative and they're super effective. So yeah, I am not taking psych meds, not doing it. The last one that's on my list, and don't come at me for this one either, is I'm not having a hysterectomy. I've decided that I would like to keep my body intact as much as I can. The reason for this is hysterectomy is one of the top 2 unnecessary surgeries in the U.S. It's about 600,000 performed a year. And they are one of the top 2. The other one is C-section. Can you believe there are women that be like, yes, I'll take a C-section to have my baby. But I digress. Hysterectomies are not an effective way of basically just managing whatever women issues you're having at the moment. or what's going on with you, or managing pain, or whatever. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier, is that doctors either don't know, or two, they're just saying this is what our solution is because that's what's in the textbook, right? So if you didn't know, depending on what type you actually have, hysterectomy type surgery you are fundamentally changing the way your body functions. Like, look at the location of your organs, the ligaments, the attachments, like all that stuff moves around. And sometimes, and I'll say not a lot of times, it leads to complications. It leads to more problems. It leads to more medical issues. And these are the things that people or doctors don't tell you about. They just say, hey, just have the surgery. I'm not going to get into gaslighting from the medical community because that's a whole nother topic. But I'm just saying, like, I've heard lots of stories from women who I've worked with, who I haven't worked with, that are just saying, like, there were so many problems after having this surgery. Yeah, at first it was great. Yeah, it helped them. Yeah, it did. But it doesn't outweigh all the problems and complications that came from it. Even just from having surgery itself, not the type of surgery, but surgery, major invasive trauma on the body, if you say. So I've decided that I am just going to leave my body intact and wait till it's absolutely necessary if I really need to do it. And besides that, I'd rather grow into menopause more naturally, gracefully anyway. So these are the things that I've decided that I'm not doing anymore, but have been the most helpful in my journey to manage stress, burnout, and everything else in my life. And if you want to come at me for some of the stuff that I said, let's have a conversation about that. But I really want you to take what resonates with you, leave the rest, because you are the boss of you. You know what's best for you. And you're the only person that can truly be an advocate for yourself. So I hope this was helpful. Until next time. Thanks for joining today's rebellion with me. Remember, it's okay to be a hot mess sometimes. It's all part of the journey. Until next time, stay rebellious, stay authentic, and keep embracing the beautiful messiness of life. Don't forget to join the Hot Mess Rebellion community where you can connect with other like-minded souls. And anything mentioned in today's episode will be linked in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you subscribe, you share with a friend, you leave a review, and you keep coming back for more. This podcast was brought to you by Healing Roots Wellness and Botanicals. For more information, please visit healingrootswab.com.